2008. I was in the backseat of a Samtrans public transportation bus drawing, and some weirdo, walked up to me and said, "Hey man, you graph?"
I said
Because
tag.
you said graph. That's how I remember it, because you said graph.
I try to make it sound sick, short for graffiti.
This guy shorthands everything, dude. I makes a fucking shorthand for a thing that doesn't make any sense for me sometimes.
That was the very first moment I interacted with Alex.
I'd be like driving and I'd be like,
Gooz.
"You hit that Coco." I'm like, "What are you talking about? You hit that corner."
He's talking about me. Samtrans is our local bus for anyone that's outside the Bay Area. And, Gooz and I went to the same community college, and we had the same English class. First class in the morning, 8 o'clock sharp.
Yep.
In the morning. And I didn't talk to him for like a good month, because that's how I am when I get into school. I don't really talk to everybody unless they want to interact with me. But we rode the same bus home, and he was at the back of the bus on his little art book that he draws into. And I noticed him. I walked to the back of the bus, and that's what I said to him.
And this is kind of the whole story of the show, which is not just how we met, not about how we learned about our passions, because we already did that already. We did how we met. Bro workers, right?
Yeah.
But this one is more about where this all started. The camera, the everything. And that started with a video production crew called Hind by Productions.
Yes.
And it started, and just so you know, some little backstory on it. The video Hind by Productions, the name itself, it came from my nephew, John Ray, where there's a really cute video, because he was like a kid, like a baby at the time. Now he's like a grown-ass adult. He's ready to be a cop. So shout out to my nephew, John Ray. Proud of you, boy. And
shout out, John Ray.
He was just like, they're like, "Say hi, John Ray." He's like, "Hi." And you say bye, John Ray. He's like, "Bye." And I thought it was so cool. I wanted to use that snippet of him talking in the beginning. We never did. I never got to use it. We used other highs and buys. And then after talking with Chaotic, we were kind of figuring out, what should we call ourselves, And the premise was that the short films that we were creating were going to be short, different, straight to the point, much like our hellos and our farewells. And that's pretty much the consensus and the start of something beautiful. Our first project together was a show called the PCN, which was a mock-up, right?
It was for those that don't know what PCN stands for, it's for Filipino Culture Night, which is a very popular, not a course. It's a course. It's a course, but it's also an event that a lot of schools across the country run.
Yeah, it's called Filipino Cultural Night.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great. I decided, I want to really reconnect with my roots and do all that stuff. So we did, and that's where we met with Chaotic. That's where we met with Bogzy, and
that's where we all met with JB.
Everyone
met JB. D-Buster is he's the one that we didn't meet in the community college.
I met him separately.
Yeah.
But then it went to doing a mockumentary of the PCN, which in turn actually got a lot of national attention. I don't know if you knew that. Across colleges, we were like the number 1 or 3 most watched at the time.
We were running things,
in terms of things, yeah. And then after that, the next year of PCN, I was with Chaotic, and Chaotic goes, "Why don't we run it back with the mockumentary style, but this time make it kind of like our own style and artistic flair and artistic direction." And then from there, that's when we came up with a show called Kaba, a PCN mockumentary. And from there, Kaba was...
and Kaba is short for...
Kababayan, yeah.
Which in our native tongue...
It's our fellow countrymen, our fellow villagers, yeah. So, Kaba, Kaba, Ka specifically, in the term babayin or alibata in our specific writing, looks like a bridge. So it's like a to transition.
Some deep shit.
Yeah. Hey, let me put you on some fucking game real quick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So kababaya means like to connect. You're a part of connecting a part of the community, and that's what it really means with as your fellow kababayan, your kabalayans, whatever you want to call them.
I don't think a lot of Pinoys know that too.
And so just a little bit of background on that. And so because of that fact, we did PCN and Kaba. That's when Chaotic and I were like, why don't we just do more fun short films? Do you remember, Chaotic, the first short film we've had ever? That wasn't Kaba or the PCN? Which one was it? Yeah. Oh, It Is Love. Oh, It Is Love.
You can still find these videos on the YouTube.
You just type in "Oh It Is Love" High and By Productions, and we'll put it like in, where is it here? Over here, for you guys to see. Little while we're watching, little links and stuff on the bottom of Brian's right hand side of the screen, and that's where we made "Oh It Is Love," and it's a basic like best friend likes his girl, but this girl chooses another guy's story. That's what I directed and wrote. And it took the span over technically 2 years to make. We shot a first half of it in the beginning. And then the very end was like this last scene that needed... It felt empty. And then it kind of hit into just this crazy, like, oh, my lightning aha moment to figure it out and wrap it all up. But the main character of it was Bogzy. So Bogzy was the first guy. How was your whole entire perspective of the show during that time?
Well, first off, we shot a lot of footage in and around my house, and I have to bring this up because it's the funniest thing. Because every time we had a project around my house, my grandfather would come out of his room, and he would look at us as if we were like producing a drug or something. He'd just look at us just with the most suspect look, like, what the hell are they doing?
Lola loves us now, though.
He does, but when we used to film around the house, he'd just come out and he'd just stare like, what the hell are they doing? But the process, I do remember Gooz getting mad at me because back then I was involved in a hip hop dance team, and I was very, very involved with the culture to the point where I was coloring my hair to the match of our dance uniforms. And the funny thing about this is our dance uniform at the time was teal. So I had attempted to color my hair teal. Not only did it not come out as teal, and it came out as green, like Oscar the Grouch green, but I colored it in a time where we were filming this short, and Goose, I just remember see Goose, he's like, you knew we were filming this film and you colored your hair? Because he wasn't planning on having my hair green.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Well, we already shot some scenes.
So
it's like all of a sudden your hair's green. Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
I had a faux hawk too, guys.
We need to watch the video again, man. That shit's so funny.
I'll never have a faux hawk again. I look like a bird. Anyways, but it was a fun process. I met some good friends on there.
Yeah. And then that's where I had my high school friend, Zeal, who was the girl character.
Shout out Zeal.
And
she was the love interest.
She was the love interest, yes. Quote unquote, the best friend. The short film starts out with you opening up, and you have like the best friend's picture.
Yeah.
Do you remember that best friend's picture?
The one that her and I took.
You didn't take that picture.
Oh no, we kind of photoshopped it.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
No, it gets even worse because the original picture. So Zeal and I didn't have a picture together at the time of production, and we needed to have one. So what we did is we went through her Facebook, and then we grabbed the picture of her and her grandfather, and her grandfather,
late grandfather.
We didn't
I'm
know.
So sorry, sir.
We didn't know. But our condolences. But we took the picture and we photoshopped his face with my face, and then we didn't even ask Zeal. We just told her, like, we're gonna take a picture from your profile, and then when we showed it to her, she was like, oh my God, did you Photoshop my grandfather?
Good thing she took it in stride, and she didn't say.
And she was home, like, we're homies, so like she
laughed
She laughed with us, but at the same time she was like, oh, it's my Lola who passed away. I was like, God damn it. I was like, out all the pictures we could have picked, we picked the wrong one. But so the best friend, if you watch the short film of Oh It Is Love, and you get to the point where we kind of zoom in on the best friend picture where it's her and I, we never took that picture together. So
yeah. And man, it brings me back to think too, and Chaotic can provide some insight on this as well, like the shooting as well. We were trying some real new creative stuff video wise. we did some shady shit. Chaotic and I can attest to this. We went to Home Depot, and I'm not gonna say anything on camera, but we may or may not have swapped tags to pay cheaper for certain items. We may or may not have. All right. So
we've been looking for these two Asian Americans in Daly City, California. They've been on the run for 15 years.
But then we made basically like a tracking device and a boom pole. We did the whole.
You guys were very innovative.
Well, we were always balling on a budget. Like, mind you, the camera that we had was Ken's T1i. And at the time, that was the first DSLR aside of the 5D Mark II. Some camera heads here. The 5D Mark II was shot in some of House's final episodes. So it's like a very revolutionary camera. That's a camera that now everyone now can shoot with their phone or whatever, right?
Right.
But back then, you needed an actual video camera where the 5D Mark II was so expensive we couldn't even afford it. The next option that came up was a T1i, and that was Chaotic's camera. So we shot with that. So we were balling on a budget. We had one camera, and then we had some Home Depot janked up dolly and boom mic. But we made it work, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of what we did in the very beginning of our early days.
These equipment, like, they're not small, too. Like, they're big. It's a big
as
camera,
hell.
and when we're booming somebody with a mic, it's literally like a stick over my head with one of these mics over. And we filmed all over. We filmed all over Daly City, and we filmed in the thick middle of downtown San Francisco on a weekend where there's hella people. Thankfully, no one really, like, bothered us. I feel like today, because of how social media set up all these kids, like, probably you get some kids interrupting, but no one really, like, came in between our shots, but people looked over to see what was going on, though, because we looked official.
Yeah.
You know, filming in the city.
We made it work. You know, like, we didn't have the official equipment, but we made it work.
Yeah.
And at the time, too, we also casted our friend, Tina.
Mr. Allen.
Yeah.
Who lived across the street from me. He's one of our close friends as well growing up, who we also met in the same community college. That's where we all met, guys.
Yeah.
Except for D-Buster.
And then we,
Buster.
very last minute, though, there was some conflict. Do you remember what happens in the timeline and the storyline of Oh, It Is Love?
You're going to have to remind me.
So, it basically goes where you hang out with your best friend and you guys shop, and you guys can see that you guys get along very well. When you guys are done hanging out, you drive off, you go home, but then her car doesn't start. And because of that,
that's where,
where Alan comes in and,
like,
and
hey,
jumpstarts her car. Yep.
Charge your car.
Charge your car, give her a jump start on the battery. And from there, gave numbers, exchanged it, and then started dating.
Yes.
And that's the storyline thus far.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then you see the days where you would wake up, you hang out with her, you guys would do stuff, you'd eat, and those days turn into nothing, where you'd wake up and the time passes from 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 p.m., 2 p.m., and you just keep hitting snooze because you're depressed.
Mm-hmm. That's all in the film, too. He's literally describing you scene per scene.
Yeah. And then it cuts into where Alan is chilling at the park, what leads us to believe that, he's with, Zeal, and he's feeding ducks and everything like that. And then it cuts to a wide shot, and then he's with another friend, another girl. Shout out to Jerica.
That's right.
Yeah, Jerica Amazing. I gave her that handle, by the way. I call her Jerica Amazing, and that was her handle for the longest time.
Yeah.
So from there, we see that he's cheating on Zeal, and then she posts on Twitter, because it's called Twitter back then, I hate the feeling of being ignored. And that was a suggestion by Chaotic. Chaotic was like, it needs to feel some conflict. We also need to show that this girl is not Zeal in some way or form. So a Twitter notification pops up, and it says, I hate the feeling of being ignored. And if you see it, the phones are hella old. They're old as shit.
Yeah. They were bricks.
Yeah.
They were bricks, man.
Yeah. And so, they were brought up. You can chime in on any time at this moment of the story.
No.
Yeah. And basically, it cuts into a scene where a guy, it looks like Alan. He's getting flowers and everything like that. If you look at the camera angles, it's intentional to make it look
supposed to mislead you.
Yeah.
So thinking that it's the guy that you thought it was.
Right. So
the person.
so Alan gets all the flowers or whatever, and then all of a sudden, she receives the flowers. Alan gives her the flowers, and while she smells the flowers, she makes up with Alan. Alan leaves to go home, and she sees a card in the flower, and she takes out the card. The card says, "Regardless of how you feel about me, I hope I'll always be there," or something like that.
And this is another mistake because
Oh,
this guy, knowingly, we all knew he has the best handwriting out of all of us. And I specifically asked him because he, I guess I'm ruining the twist here. Should I ruin it?
No, you can ruin the twist.
So when she reads the card, it's my writing because it's from my character.
Right.
And if anybody knows, my handwriting is as close as to a legendary chicken because it's just horrible writing. Yeah. And I told him, I'm like, you sure? I asked him too. I was like, you sure you want me to write this?
You remember what I said?
No, I don't remember what you said.
I remember what I said. I said my last words. Yeah, I trust you.
And then I remember, I think we had a few drafts where I wrote it, and then there's a close-up shot of the card, and it shows my writing, and I just remember Gooz just going, "What the fuck is that, man? Let's have him rewrite this shit, dude. No one can read that shit." And I remember in the production room, which is in Chaotic's room, I was just like, "Man, I told you." I was like, "I told you, like, no one be able to read my stuff." And then we just we rewrote it as clean as possible, and even then, it was still shit.
I also remember too. You were like after I didn't look at the footage, I didn't look at the card or whatever. You're like, I think that's the best I've ever written. Like I remember you saying that shit, and then so when you saw it, I was like, no fucking way, that's the best he wrote. That's no fucking chance. That's the best he wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on my bad. I would have redone that thing all over again.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, Zeal finds out that it's from you. So she basically drives to your spot. You're walking up to your door, mm-hmm. which actually in the video it's Zeal's door. And she goes, "Briane," and then she pulls the flowers from her back. Yeah. And then that's where it cuts. She realizes you had feelings this whole time. Mm-hmm. And that was the end of it. Really feel good.
It was very well made.
Very cute. Now that I'm older, very cute. Very, I don't know, unbeknownst to us of the dangers and horrors of the real world and love what it is.
But when I look back at it, I see why she went for Alan over me. Because I look butt ugly with a green patch hair. And
I would have went for Alan too, man.
Faux hawk looking ass.
I'll go for Alan now.
Looking ass, cone head, like oversized jackets. Disgusting.
But you're an actor, right? Now, let's talk a little bit more about when you expanded your role in the production crew from actor to producer, then to director.
Like how I grew from there.
Yeah, and like your mindset from that transition.
The transition comes from when you're writing your own. Because I with High and By, I got to experience every outlet. I got to write my own stuff, produce, direct, but it all comes from just thinking of past experiences, and it's based off like shit that I went through personally. My breakups, my heartbreaks or frustrations or whatever. I think that's how it evolved. As an actor, you're thinking, how can I portray it? And then as a producer and a director, how can I write myself in that and shoot it? But can I also see someone else playing it outside of me? I think that's what comes into play. And I think that was exciting. I think that was exciting when you get to the point that you're able to find someone that kind of represents you.
That matches your freak.
Yeah. I always like to go for a handsome guy because I always like to get an actor who's more handsome than me. Or somewhere in that outlet. But I think that's where it kind of chimes in.
Yeah.
The nucleus of it all is your story. Oh, sorry. Your story, and then you kind of want to put it out there.
Yeah.
And see how it evolves by people playing it and how people perceive it.
Funny enough for me, the Oh It Is Love, the first short film that I made with Chaotic, that wasn't based on my experiences. It was actually the song itself. I liked the song.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to make a music video for this song. Doesn't have a music video.
Yeah.
And it's by Hello Goodbye, Oh It Is Love.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, such a good song. And that's how it was built. It was built around that premise.
I don't know if I got that from you, but I moving to the future of High and By and how we created our films. That's how I also built my stories as well. It started with a song. It always started with a song, some sort of song that would just help you create the story. But, yeah.
For you though, like your first short film was Tell Love Phone.
Yeah, and I think either you or Ken came up with that title.
It,
I think it was you, maybe.
It most likely was me.
Tell Love Phone.
Yeah, it's me. I'm really good with puns. So
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
It was Tell Love Phone, and
what was it before?
Did we have a name for it before?
What was it before? I thought you would know. Do you remember?
Do you remember?
Fucking no. I just remember once we said Tell Love Phone, it clicked.
Yeah.
Also, we'll get to this, but the most I've ever seen Chaotic laugh in a editing room floor was for that short film. Like uncontrollably. But you want to talk about the story and premise of that whole entire film?
Well, yeah. In a nutshell, Tell Love Phone is about a long distance relationship. I had a long distance relationship growing up where I dated somebody like outside the Bay, and and Tell Love Phone it's based on just like your communication with your partner through the telephone. How does it look like from that perspective when you guys are not in the same room, when you guys are in your own separate rooms? Like if one's living in San Francisco, the other one's living in LA, and how does that look like? How does the argument look like when you're away from each other? How does it look like when you're being lovey-dovey with each other? How does that survive? That's what that film was about. And at the time I was in San Francisco State, and so for me, I think the best part of the job, especially when our film team was at its pinnacle, was me being able to cast people, because I love casting people, because that's when we find out, like, oh, they can act or they can't. But at least they look the part. And at the time, I was very involved with SF State's Filipino community, and in that community, there were a couple of people who stood out and who were very popular. And I always like to shark people who were very popular, because if you put them on screen, then people who support them will watch them. So shout out to April, shout out to E.T., who were the two actors in that film. And then we also casted my childhood friend from kindergarten.
She was like in 10 seconds of the film, but shout out to her.
Yeah, because we were like, there was a part of it, because to give you guys a nutshell, the two partners were in a long distance relationship, and at some point, the girl finds out that he was I have to rewatch the film, but she finds out that a girl that was formerly interested in him was contacting him, and she got mad. And she got so mad she couldn't do anything, because she's all the way in SoCal and he's in the Bay. And you could, and by the way, the entire film, and this was inspiration from 500 Days of Summer, the entire film is split, and you can see what she's doing and what he's doing. Yeah. I remember that was one of the elements that we grabbed.
The expectations versus reality scene.
Yes. So, but dude, shout out to Amanda.
Damn, shout out 500 Days of Summer. That's a good fucking film.
Yeah, shout out to Victor. I remember, a lot of nights, a lot of Friday nights, we hung out at Ken's house, and I remember we hung out at that house so much. And I just remember VJ coming in. We usually we bring snacks for each other, and we're just watching movies. I remember Victor just coming in, and we just talk about 500 Days of Summer, and he just goes, "Man, you remember that scene, the expectations, reality? God, that movie was good." I remember Victor saying that.
Yeah, man.
But that's where it derived from. The coolest part of that film was the ending, because the ending, as I said before, the way that the film was shot it's split. So you see E.T. in his room, you see April in her room the entire time, through arguments, through lovey-dovey, through all that. And at the very end of the film, you see them end up, they're on a bed, and it looks, some may think it's two separate beds, but you can kind of tell they're on the same bed, and the barrier, I think it just slowly comes down.
It goes away. The line.
And they're together.
Yeah.
That was really cool. That was really cool.
So to go back some behind the scenes shit, on the editing floor, the title, the very end, right? It goes telephone, right? It zooms in. I don't know if you remember this, Chaotic, but we were messing around at the time with motion animations with titles. Now you remember? So he hits the rotate. I don't know if you remember, it makes the thing spin. And so when it did that, it said telephone, and it started spinning. You see how you remember it? And then at one point he set it to maximum spin. So when it said telephone, the whole ending scene would hit. This is in the editing room floor, so no one ever seen it. And it says telephone, but it went, whoo!
like an old Batman Adam West episode, man.
That was the dumbest shit we laughed at for like 15 straight minutes, but it was so funny because like no one gave ourselves deadlines, but we did. You know, like we set deadlines, we set the schedule, we did everything. You know. Yeah. And we were like, this has to get out by tomorrow. We said the date was going to be out by tomorrow.
Oh, my gosh.
So when he was coming out with the freaking twirls and stuff, that was like something that was kind of a nice little break, but it was super funny.
I think it was also funny that when I casted... So these two at the time, I mean, if they ever come across this episode, you know, they used to date. They used to date in real life. So the chemistry worked out fine. But it was hella funny when the short came out because... You know, all the homies that knew E.T., they would like the moment they would see him, they would just recite a line. And I just remember E.T. just going, "Man, shut up!" He was kind of embarrassed, but at the same time,
what was the line?
I think I love you.
Wait.
If you ever watch the film, when you hear him talk, and he still talks like this today, when he talks, it's like there's almost a question mark at the very end. A question mark buffer, if that makes any sense.
Do you know in the film there's another actor that played E.T.? Did you know that?
At which scene?
At the very end.
In the bed?
Yep, he goes, I'm right here.
Oh, it's Ken. So we were missing it. Okay.
See?
So at the very end, before the barrier closes, obviously they're on the same bed together. We wanted to put a little touch at the very end where, you know, E.T. says, "Oh, I'm right here." But we didn't have that recording. Oh, we did. We did have the recording, but his voice. Another thing about his voice, it's so light that the mic doesn't pick it up, and it was so bad. We're like, "Damn it, we can't use this." And we didn't have E.T. at the time, and so Ken was like, "Fuck it, I'll try it." And we just, and then so
I remember sitting there, and Ken was like reciting like a rap. He was like, "I'm right here." Like we just go, No, that's not it. I'm right here. Like you just, and we took several takes, and and then after VJ was like, "That's it. That's the one. That's the one right there."
You know, I do want to say that the dopest part of this film, this was during when Tumblr was very popular. It caught fire on Tumblr. Like it had so many reposts on Tumblr. Like a lot of kids around our age was watching it. And we were constantly checking like how many people were I think they called it reblogging it back in the day.
Yeah,
it was cool. That was cool to see.
Yeah, you know, it's also good to see the several different aspects of when you come up with a short film as opposed to when I come up with a short film as opposed to when Chaotic wanted to come up with something, because we all had different insights and influences.
Yeah.
Because although you had a long distance relationship, I never did.
Yeah.
So a lot of people resonated with you. But meanwhile, while I was watching it, mind you, I helped edit, I helped write it, I helped create the conflict. I still was like, this doesn't connect to me because I've never been through it. But it was super cool when people reblogged it, because like a ton of people connected to it.
You would see like some comments of like, man, that particular scene. Mm-hmm. That was the cool part of being a part of the team, is whenever we wrote our own stuff, and if we, you know, created a particular scene that was relatable to people, that was magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it basically kind of spiraled into us really taking our short film careers a little bit more seriously. We went into competitions and everything like that.
48-hour film festivals.
And then this is the last
campus festivals.
The last big short film we've had, unfortunately, before, I don't know if we'll ever pick it up again. I would like to do one more before we say it's all said and done. But it was Trembling Hands. That was the one that you came up with, right? There wasn't a long short film after that.
That was long.
It
was 22 minutes. I think it was 20. It was 22, but it was originally it was like almost 30.
I had to tell you to cut out hella shit.
Yeah, I remember being in Ken's room, and I was like, no one's gonna stick around for 30 minutes to watch this. Yeah. We Trembling Hands was another film that I wrote and directed, and that was based off another past relationship as well, one of my exes as well. But Trembling Hands was about a guy who had and this is an actual phobia. We looked it up too. I forget what the phobia is called, but it's the fear of holding someone's hand. So he had a fear of holding like hands with women.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But if you want to know more, you should fucking watch.
I mean, we're kind of self plugging our films here, and if you haven't seen them, you should check it out because Three Dot Podcast wouldn't be Three Dot Podcast without High and By Productions.
Yep. Facts.
Three Dot evolved from High and By.
I mean, if we really want to take it down, from that PCN class, everything started.
Yeah.
Like, that's where, and I'm gonna say this right now. You might not even see this, Romel. Shout out to you, because you're the one who put me and Chaotic together to say, hey, make this promo for the PCN.
Yeah.
For the Filipino Culture Night.
Yeah.
And who would have never thought, like, because you put me and Ken in a room, we started realizing, oh, I think I made a new friend today. Mm-hmm. Ken's girlfriend at the time too said the same thing. Like, he came and then he called her, and Ken said the same thing to her and was like, hey, I think I made a new friend today. Little did we know, like, now decades later, like, we're still doing that.
Yeah, I met my best friends through these projects. Yep. And we've been doing this shit for a long time, man. Like, we may have just started, we have rebooted 3 Dot, but we started 3 Dot in 2015. But we've been doing projects together since 2008.
Yeah.
So this is our bag. I want you guys to understand that. Like, as much as we fuck around and we joke around, because we love to laugh, dude. We love to laugh. But this is our shit. This is what we do. And so creating this podcast or whatever venture we end up doing after here, we do this because we just love to create.
Yeah.
Love to tell. We're storytellers.
Yeah.
Like, legit, we're storytellers. That's what we do.
Yeah. And like, with Trembling Hands, let's scale back a little bit. Before I came out with the short film, which I wanted to talk to you about your perspective on it, because you were the producer on it.
Hell yeah.
It was the hardest, and we'll talk about it too in Chaotic's episode for it. But it was the hardest short film to make. You remember that?
It was tough because we filmed it in San Francisco airport.
Without any permits.
Without any permits. And I thought this was the most fun that we ever did, because back then, this was, what year did it come out?
2011 maybe.
I think there was already restrictions, because back in the day in SFO, you can go deep in SFO. Like, you literally bring your family to the gate. But now you can't do that anymore because there's a barrier now. So I remember going into SFO with D Buster was a part of High and by this time. D Buster was a part of the team already. I remember on an off day, it was me, him, and another friend. We went to SFO to look around. I literally walked around SFO, and I still have some of these old pictures on my phone for him, because he was directing and he wrote this at the time. And I took pictures of areas where I feel like it wasn't too busy. I feel like if we brought cameras and filmed this entire, because if you watch One Stop, it's literally in one area the whole time. It's in a waiting area.
Yeah, the film is called One Stop.
Yeah, before a gate. And I took pictures of it, and I sent him pictures. I'm like, hey, this is what we got. This is what we can work with. So I was working on that, like aside of helping him cast actors. Ken, on the other hand, his homework was to how are we going to shoot it in the film, and he figured that part out too.
That was the sickest setup. Do you remember how it looked like? It was. I mean, we could talk about it again in another show.
Yeah.
But briefly, he set up something where it's so discreet, it looked like he was carrying a carry-on.
Right.
This sounds hella sketchy right now, because it all was like it sounds. You know what I'm saying? But we did all that homework as not even film students, just film lovers and short story, storytellers. And
God, I mean, because we could literally do another hour just with One Stop.
One Stop. It should be a whole thing.
Any short is worth talking about for like an hour.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
more. But yeah,
and Trembling Hands too was another whole ordeal.
Yeah,
but it makes me think too, and maybe we can, and we'll stop there with all that stuff. Just go ahead and check out our stuff if you haven't.
Yeah, we're still on YouTube. Just look up High and By Productions, and we have over 100 videos.
Yeah. And we tried to come back around pandemic time
before
when it started, and then the pandemic shut us down.
It shut us down hard.
And then we tried to do a little bit more with our
it shut us down.
Yeah, but hopefully we'll see. Maybe in the future, maybe we still do it, maybe we won't. But regardless of the fact is, something that always resonates with what Chaotic has said, and the reason why we do short films, is we shot something and now it lives there. It's there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There's a music video that he shot with our friend Ed, by the way. You know, shout out to Ed.
Shout out Ed.
And it showed the old bowling alley. And he, you know, and I had a conversation with Chaotic, and he was like, wow, now that's under construction. It's no longer there. And he's like, it's kind of cool why we shoot stuff. Because it's like, it's a moment in time.
It's a little bit of history.
Yeah, a little bit of like it's just like logging in a diary. You know?
Yeah.
Like you remember that moment in time, what you did,
Yeah.
how you felt, what you were going through. And maybe it's not, you know, this is not too much of a real like comedy part of the podcast. It's not very funny, but you know, we also can just remember like how down and bad I was, you know, during those times.
Right.
So yeah,
we definitely we went through our seasons at that time together. That's how long we've been together too. We've through flesh and blood, man. We went through it all together. So
what is okay if you were to redo it now? You know everything, you know yourself. If you were to look at all our catalogs of short films, and you wanted to redo it,
oh man,
just redo it. You know, like and tweak things. What would it be?
I if he was here, and he would agree with me too, because he was a part of the film. What was the film with Jenny and James?
Oh my God, a new composition.
New comp, man, and shout out to Mark, because he came up with that idea, and JB would agree with me. Like, I'm not even like, if he was here, he would agree with me. But he and I talk about it all the time, and if James was here, if JB was here, he would always say, I wish I had more time to be a better actor for that film.
Yeah.
Because the one comment that we got was like the actors didn't really have chemistry, and at the time we casted someone who was a big YouTube musician, and we were homies with her. Jenny,
shout out Jenny.
Jenny, wherever you are, girl.
Jenny Suk.
Like we miss you.
Get on the show.
We miss you. We love you, and you know, hopefully you're doing good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I really like that story. I really like the concept too. It was dope. But yeah, if that was something I could fix, is probably spend more time to get the actors a little bit more chemistry going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me,
a lot of people knew. A lot of people could tell.
I mean, for me, it would be One Stop, because the audio was so shit.
That's right, because the audio in that entire film was backlogged. It wasn't live audio that we tried to do live audio in the airport, but it was just so
couldn't
tough.
Couldn't do it. Yeah. And you know, that's the problem with it when you try to go guerrilla. But
guerrilla warfare at SFL, man.
Yeah, but at the same time though, like you can't really take anything back too.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the actors. It's funny, at the Giants game, we ran into the actress from One Stop.
Yeah.
And she's like, Alex? And I'm like, Beatrice?
Yeah,
and then we said what's up to her. It was real cool.
Yeah.
But man, like, you think about all the people that you've met, everything that you shot, you know. One short film for me that I feel like I would have redone, other than One Stop, because I think that's something that we all would have probably wanted to fix, because the ADR was just slightly off, like just a little bit, to the point where everyone was just like, this sounds like ADR.
And for people that don't know what ADR is,
it's a replacement. It's basically the audio gets replaced.
right?
I'm not going to give you the fancy word because I have to look it up, but it's basically where you just get dubbed over your words because the audio was bad that day, or
right.
it needs to be dubbed because of certain logistical reasons. But you know, I think for me, in terms of something that I'd want to shoot over again, probably would be Brent Bradley and This Girl, and it wouldn't be that's D Buster's short film.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be anything shot. The actors were amazing.
Oh yeah, I casted that.
I want to say that group acting cast,
Except for Rick. For Rick.
Yeah.
Forget the kid's name.
But that group was such a good acting. Like, they were fucking solid, top to bottom.
Yeah.
That whole group was a really strong acting group.
Yeah. For sure.
It would just basically put more faith into D Buster, because I felt like at the beginning, the script itself felt very like good, soft, you know. And if we gave him a little bit more time to kind of flesh out that, and he'll say it too. He'll say it's like it's whatever film. He doesn't really like it.
Yeah, he's very
he's hypercritical of it.
Yeah, very hypercritical. But the actors were great, man. Shout out to Becca Holland.
Yeah.
Who gave me my first kiss in kindergarten. That's how I casted her, because I was friends with her since then. And then shout out to Evan as well. Evan was I knew Evan was,
Evan
I knew Evan was
great.
gonna ace it because I acted with Evan at SF State. So I knew that. And then I think it's Ricardo. Ricardo was Dave's homie. So that's who Dave wanted to cast, and we trusted it, and we went with it. It was great chemistry, man.
The cast was amazing.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I would do that. And I would probably put a little bit more time on the music videos that we shot. The music videos that we shot really were cool, but I mean in the sense that we should have just said yes, and I should have just done more to edit and film.
You live and you learn. You live and you learn.
Good times though.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of films that you guys got to check out, guys. Brett Bradley and this girl. Yeah. There's One Stop. There's Trembling
Your
Hands.
homework for this episode is to watch Bogzy's.
Oh, It Is Love.
Yeah, watch Oh, It Is Love. Watch Telephone and watch Trembling Hands. That's what I would say for this episode.
Give it a shot if you need something to watch in the background while you're just chilling at home and you'd like to see our younger selves. Because we do like to put little like sneaky cameos of ourselves in the film as well.
Yeah. Speaking of, before we end this and wrap this all up, I remember very, very clearly we have like a Pixar Marvel universe thing going on in our short films.
Oh yeah, they were all connected.
Yeah, so they're all connected. So watch it. You'll see the little Easter eggs. Everything is connected.
Yeah. That was cool.
Really fun times though. But yeah, that's it from me. My name's Gooz.
And my name is Bogzy, and this is the 3 Dot Podcast, where the conversation does not stop. So hello and goodbye.
Bye bye.